Welcome, everyone, back to the School of Greatness podcast. Very excited about our guest today. Her name is Jackie Warner, and she's got a new book out. Make sure to check this out. We'll have it all linked up back at the show notes. It's called This Is Why You're Sick and Tired and How to Look and Feel Amazing. I'm very excited to have you here.
Don't I look like a soccer mom in this photo?
You
look
look
at
like
that.
a great soccer
Look at
mom.
that. Look, I look like such a soccer mom in that photo.
Glowing. And we have a couple things in common that I want to talk about before we dive into some questions.
Uh-huh.
One is for both from Ohio.
Yeah.
So high five.
High five to Ohio.
To Ohio.
That's definitely, you've got a different type of personality when you're from Ohio or the Midwest. Yes, you do.
Right when you walked in here, I gave you a hug and you're like, okay, yeah, we're doing this. And I was
like,
I'm from Ohio, so we have to.
Yeah, I'd forgotten. It's been 23 years that I've been out here in LA. Like, I've lived in LA longer than I lived in Ohio.
Really?
Yeah, can you believe that?
When did you move?
Like my freshman year.
In high school?
At college.
College, okay.
Yeah, thanks for
freshman year of high school.
Yeah. But no, I definitely came out here for college, and I just ended up staying out here. I love it. You can reinvent yourself over and over. You can fail and pick yourself up over and over in LA, and you can't do that anywhere else in this, in my opinion, world more than you can in this town.
You can't do it in the same city anywhere else. You could go move from like Columbus to Chicago and do it, but you can't be in a small town, Ohio, and reinvent yourself. No. It's pretty challenging. Everyone knows everything there. But it's true about being in LA. I lived in New York for a little bit, and it's true about that there too, I think.
Yeah. Thank goodness, because I got accepted to a school here, and I applied to school in New York, and thank goodness that LA accepted me because because New York would have, now that I go back and forth to New York like once a month or so, New York would have eaten me alive. I would not have had success in New York like I did in LA. Yeah.
You seem like you were just in control though. You would just like crush that city.
No, I would not crush it. I would not crush it. I hate to say that. It's so weird because when I go there now and do like media or some sort of business opportunity or what have you, I'm even thinking about opening a gym there.
Wow.
But when I do that, I still feel overwhelmed by the city.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because I'm a country girl at heart. I like green. I like a lot of nature. I live in Laurel Canyon, and that is very nature. You know, I've got yard with tons of like animals and stuff in it.
Right, and mountains to look at. Yeah, exactly.
I can't drink this water with my mic on.
Go ahead.
No, I'm not going to try it. It's going to be a disaster. I can feel it. Anyway.
Okay, so that's one thing we have in common, so I'm very grateful to be with another fellow Ohioan.
Thank you.
And what part of Ohio? Is it Fairborn? Yeah, so where is that exactly?
It's Wright Pat Air Force Base is there. So it's a big Air Force town. And it's about 30 minutes outside of Dayton. So it's a suburb of Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I'm from
Dayton, I call like the ugliest city in the world.
That's pretty ugly. Yeah. I'm from near Columbus, Delaware, Ohio, if you've ever heard of Delaware.
I've never. Is that northern?
It's north, about 20 miles north of Columbus.
I never went north. Isn't that so strange? Growing up in high school, we never actually left. We never went out of the 30-mile radius.
Right.
My entire life growing up in high school.
Just got in trouble in your backyard.
We got in trouble right in the backyard, like in the cornfields, you know, at the working moms' houses, things like that.
What was the craziest thing you did in Ohio when you lived there?
What is the craziest thing I did?
You know,
it's so funny because I like to kind of act like I'm a bad girl, but when I compare stories with other girls,
they're like, that's nothing.
They're like, what are you talking about? Like, I snuck out maybe like twice in my entire high school, and I thought, oh, I'm so bad. But I went to like a club that was for underage people, so I didn't even go to like a drinking club.
You didn't even have a fake ID.
Actually, no. One time, I know I did something kind of bad. One time, I went out and I can't remember who I was with, but we ended up like befriending a cop.
Okay.
And the cop took us to bars and let us drink all night.
The cop did? How old were you?
Cops in Ohio are a lot cooler than they are here. And so literally it was a woman. Cool. So go figure. Yeah. And she like just took us around in her cop car and we went club hopping with the cop.
That's amazing.
And I got in everywhere. I was like 16.
That's amazing.
That's not a bad story.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
that's
little things like
Ohio
that.
Story. Yeah. I like it. So that's one thing we have in common. Something else is we both were on a Bravo show.
Uh-huh.
I was on a show for 4 episodes I'm not really proud of. It was called Misadvised. It was around for 1
Oh
season.
my God. My friend produced that. Isn't that Michaeline Babbage?
Yes.
Oh, I call her the dark horse.
Oh my gosh.
She's very
intense.
dark. She's very intense.
She was intense.
And Michaeline executive produced Thintervention, which was on
way.
Bravo.
That was 2010.
And that was, I think, 2010. And I got to tell you, she's just got a dark perspective. And I was in watching your edits. I helped in the editing bay as a friend to her.
Wow.
And I actually was giving notes on your edits. Aha.
Do you remember me by any chance?
No,
probably not. This is
I
like
don't, because I've seen
4 or 5 years ago. Many
I've
shows.
seen so many shows and stuff.
It was intense. I'll tell you what. So I could appreciate. I saw obviously some of your episodes back in, when was that? 2008, 2007.
Probably Workout.
Yeah, Workout.
Yeah, you're talking about Workout.
Yeah, Workout, because it was huge then. It was like when Bravo was,
it was
really
big.
Because Bravo wasn't doing that much then.
Well,
in terms of reality
they
shows,
had Project
right?
Runway. They had Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. They had Blowout and then Workout.
But it was like, yeah, you 4 or 5. It wasn't like 50 shows they have now.
Exactly.
Or whatever. And you were. It was like huge then. I remember.
Yeah, it was.
A big deal.
It was a very successful show.
It was massive.
And the reason we didn't go to a 4th season when I pitched it to them is because in Workout you had to have, of course, drama. I mean, fitness, but there had to be a lot of drama.
A lot.
In my personal life, like
and
you're
that's
sitting
not
with,
fun.
and it got to the point where I just got too healthy for it. You know, I broke up with the train wreck girlfriend, and I cut some ties with some other people, and I fired some people from the show, which was a big drama, cast members from the show, and I fired
who
them.
were dramatic and not adding value to your life, probably, right?
Right, that they were just trying. What they would do is they would create things that wouldn't happen, and they would create drama on camera and ambush me. Hell no, you're not going to do that to me.
On camera.
On camera. So, for instance, things that would happen behind the scenes, like a conversation we would have, then they'd ambush me on camera, which is really unprofessional.
They want to just talk to you one-on-one first.
No. They wouldn't even do any of that. They would just
my goodness.
create a drama that didn't even exist and then ambush me, and then the cameras would roll to see what my impression was. Well, my impression is like, get the hell out of my office. You're fired.
Right.
If you're going to ambush me on my own show, you're fired.
Yeah, that's not
No.
cool.
You got to keep it professional.
Wow.
So you probably know all the reality tricks.
Of course. I remember, doing it, for a month. My friend was like one of the stars in the show, and she asked me to come on to be there one night for her. She was like, it'll be great for you, this and that, for your brand. So I went on. And then the producers, it wasn't, what's her name, Michaeline?
Yeah, Michaeline.
She wasn't there. It was another producer there who was like, we want to have you come back on. Will you like take this girl out on a date? And we love you, blah, blah, blah. And for like a month and a half, I was torn to go back on because I was just like, I don't know if I feel good about this.
You weren't
situation.
feeling right.
I was not feeling good at all.
Yeah.
And
but you're never going to feel good doing your own reality show or
Exactly.
any kind of reality show.
Yeah.
It's an
uncomfortable
It's a very
experience.
uncomfortable experience when you've got people that are working on the show whose only job is to tear you down and then build you up like every episode.
Oh my gosh.
You know?
Because that's what makes
it's a roller
it
coaster.
interesting.
Of course. Here's the thing. We don't want just a full hero. In Thintervention, I'll give you an example. Our numbers, we were the highest rated on Monday night, and then our numbers started dropping, right? And that's because it was such a healthy and positive show. It was not what the Bravo market desires now, which is cattier and a little bit meaner. And so it was such a positive, like fitness base. We had like in-gym fitness and then a beautiful outdoor fitness in every episode. And people just didn't embrace it because it was just too healthy.
Should have been on the Oprah channel.
Right.
Which
it
now
should have been on
doing-
the Oprah channel.
Which now they're doing even more catty stuff to get ratings up.
Listen, you can't do. I've got a show that I'm working on right now, and the deal is you can't do a show that is positive. You have to have drama coming from somewhere. If it's not coming from me, if I'm not a train wreck, which I'm not, I'm very healthy and positive, then it has to come from other cast members or embedded in the content of the story. It's a tricky game, which has taken me so long to sell a show because it is so hard to sell a show that your heart just doesn't feel right about.
But I look at like The Biggest Loser. It seems like everyone's a hero there, right? But there's still drama with the trainers and with the personalities, I guess.
Right. Everyone's a hero, but there's a couple reasons why Biggest Loser, which is not doing as well now, but why it had such a good long haul.
Mm-hmm.
And one is because people want to see the circus kind of environment of morbidly obese people. We're talking about 300-400 pounds overweight, crying and getting cursed at and spitting up in a bucket on a treadmill and being run to death, and then being in like little booty shorts and a sports bra and a bouncy house. I think that's the last episode. I finally was like, I can't take it anymore. And but they want to see that kind of circus environment. Number one. Number two, the casting of the contestants was so amazing. Their stories were so powerful. Look, you don't get to that level of addiction because being morbidly obese means that you are full on in your addiction. You don't get to that level of addiction unless you've got something extremely powerful going on in your personal life, or that you have been just slipped off track, a death, a disease, something,
What do you find is the most common theme for people who are addicted who get overweight? What is the emotional barrier or the traumatic thing that happens to them, or what is that quality that keeps them addicted and stuck?
We looked at that in Intervention. We had therapy and Intervention at the end of every episode, and it was kind of crazy. And I'm the one that actually told them this was true from my years of owning gyms and talking to clients in a personal way. But it usually comes from one triggered event in childhood. So there has been one traumatic, whether it be a divorce or something more heinous, such as like molestation, but there's one trigger event in childhood that makes that child, or that in those formative years, or maybe that teen, start looking at food for serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, which are the three chemicals in our brain that make us feel happy and good. Alcohol releases that. Nicotine releases that. Coffee releases that. Fattening foods and sugar release that. So, that's when addictive behaviors start coming out, is in trying to deal with that.
Sure. Okay. What about on the other side of the coin where people are addicted to working out? Is there a similar type of trace back from childhood of why they're so driven?
Trainers are get into, you become a personal trainer because you first heal yourself. So at first, what you've done, if you've said, well, this is a crazy hot mess. This is not working in my life, right? That's what you do. And you say, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to have success like this. I'm off track, whether I'm doing this or that, or I don't feel good about my body, or I'm overeating, whatever it may be. So trainers self-heal first, and they say, wow, there's something to this, because exercise does release all three of those feel-good chemicals strongly. So
you don't need the foods,
right?
You can do it.
You can do the exercise.
And get the same thing.
I always say, when in doubt, go work out. So when in doubt in your life, when I've gone through the worst trials and tribulations, when life just hits me really, really hard, that's when I really throw myself into my workouts, because I know when in doubt, go work out, and I know it's going to give me that healthy, lifting up feeling that I desire, rather than say, go and have drinks every night with friends, which is not healthy. No. That's just not a good way to live.
And it gives you a lot more clarity too. When you sweat and you work that hard, you can usually release a lot of the negative emotions.
Yeah, you can.
And get clear on what is it I really want in my life moving forward.
All I do during my workouts is fantasize about all I want. So all I do during my workouts, whether I take a spinning class or I'm not boxing, boxing's too strenuous. All you're trying to do is stay alive. Because I'm into Muay Thai, and Muay Thai is Muay Thai. Yeah, I love Muay Thai. I'm a big fan. I'm at like level 3 right now, but I was at level 4, so I want to get back up to level 4. But anyway, so you're just trying to survive in Muay Thai.
Exactly.
There's you're just trying to breathe. And like most of the time I'm like, in between, I'm just like looking down at the ground, and my coach is like, what's down there? Who are you talking to down there? Like little people? What's happening? So that kicks my butt more than any routine, but I kick my own butt in the gym. So I'll do, like, for instance, I've got a photo shoot in 30 days. I'm trying to drop 7 pounds of fat, which is going to be insane.
Wow.
And I'm trying to put on 5 pounds of muscle.
Wow.
So I'm trying to completely change my body in 30 days, which I'm used to doing, but as I'm getting older, it's getting harder and harder.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I'm 32 now, and when I hit 30, I remember feeling like, man, I'm just getting a lot more injuries, and it's harder to recover.
Are you? Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I'm so
challenging.
lucky that I've never been injured.
Oh my
In
gosh.
all my training, I've never been injured, and
It's
I've done
not
some
fun.
crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I used to play a professional football, so I broke my
Hmm.
wrist and had surgeries and everything. It's
Well,
not
that's
fun.
why, because you already primed
I know.
your body with professional football,
Exactly.
and then
Yeah.
you go to the weights, and it's
It's
like, what?
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah,
So you moved out here when you were a freshman, and then you start. I think I read you started your first business when you were 21. Is that
I
right?
did. Yeah, I got really. I was at the right place, right time. Um, After school, I decided that I didn't know what I wanted to do. I kind of
Yeah.
drifted. I went to fashion design illustrating school.
Uh-huh.
So my background is art. So I was like, oh my gosh, this industry is so shallow. I have no desire to be in this industry. So
Uh-huh.
I started drifting from job to job.
You worked at Warner Brothers for a little bit,
I
right?
worked at Warner Brothers when I was 30. Yeah. And I
Okay.
was hardcore at Warner Brothers for 5 years.
Wow.
So, so I kind of drifted from job to job. I sold aluminum siding for Sears. I worked in a boiler room, like a really intense, like
No way.
telemarketing room. Yeah, I did a lot of different things. And I realized, wow, I'm really good at sales. This is
Mhm.
where I seem to go from here to here in sales, no matter what I do.
Get results.
I get good results. I was making a good living, but I didn't want to obviously sell aluminum siding for the rest of my life. But so I started working in a cellular company, and this is like
Mm-hmm.
long time ago when cell phones were
Just
just
starting.
starting.
Like
Like the
1997
big,
through 99
yeah,
or
like
what?
the big transformer phones that you would have like in the car and you'd carry around. It looked like
Sure.
luggage.
Sure.
And then the big
Although way
Motorola,
back. Okay.
like
Yeah.
the big Motorola.
Yeah.
We used to call it the brick phone. And and so I worked in sales, and there was another woman that worked in sales with me. We'll say girl because I was young, and we were the top salespeople in our
Wow.
company. And our boss was a jerk and didn't treat us well, and he didn't promote us from within. So we just said we could do this. So we didn't have any money, so we rented our own fax machine, our
Wow.
own phones, and a little office at the Sahi building, which is on Wilshire, for $200 a month. That's all we could
Okay.
afford.
Wow.
And I started cold calling corporations, cold calling, pretending that we had a whole store. Within 6 months, we'd moved into a storefront and I had 60 employees.
Oh.
Within a year, I was a millionaire.
Wow.
So it was a good,
Selling cellular phones.
yeah, it was
Wow.
such an incredible business back then.
Okay.
And there were only two carriers back then. And you could flip them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and they could still retain their number between
Sure.
carriers. Not to get too boring, like who cares
Right.
about this? But
It's fascinating.
no, but that's how I made my money, and I really was able to just kind of like live off my funds for quite a while.
Okay. So when did you realize that you don't want to sell phones anymore? And what was the next thing?
I wanted to get in the entertainment industry, and
And acts or
no, acting absolutely not. I just wanted to do something like write or produce or something creative in the entertainment industry.
because you're an artist at heart.
Right, I am an artist
Yes.
at heart, and so I all my friends were in the entertainment industry, and they were like production coordinators, production managers, things like that, working on video shoots. And I thought, how exciting would it be to work like with this rocker band or this
Sure.
band? So my first job was working as an assistant, which is as low as you can get. It's worse
Yeah.
than a PA, but an assistant audience coordinator for the Susan Powter Show. Some of your viewers might remember Susan Powter. She was a relevant fitness expert back in the early
Okay.
90s.
Okay.
And she
Huh.
wrote a book called Stop the Insanity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she had a show. She had her own daytime talk show.
Wow.
And so I worked on that show booking her audience. And I didn't need the money because I was still, flush with cash. So I did it for fun.
Right.
And I ended up working my way up there and then moving over to Warner Brothers and getting in their writers department. So
Okay. And were you writing TV shows or
I
movies
wrote, I started as an executive assistant, and then I moved to a writer's assistant, which is a really good gig if anybody knows
Yeah.
that. And then I moved to a script coordinator, and then I sold one script. And at 30, I said, I don't want to do this. And I was heavy into bodybuilding at the time, and it like really transformed my body and changed my life. And I was taking friends as clients, and I was like, God, I really have a knack for this. Like, I'm not just changing their bodies, but I'm changing the whole trajectory of their lives. So then I got
their
addicted.
lifestyle, their health, everything?
I got addicted. When I can come into somebody's life and just completely give them the kind of life coaching and the kind of feeling that they
Yeah.
need to move upwards, that is so addictive. I can't tell you. And I still love it. I still love doing it.
What is it you love the most about working with a client or a group of people? What is the thing that you're talking about right now
Yeah.
that you love?
I think what it is I just love the fact that they see something in themselves that perhaps they've never seen before.
Sure.
Something positive in themselves.
Yeah.
Something greater, something stronger, something more warrior-ish,
Mm.
you know? So things maybe that were holding them back in their jobs as parents, as partners, confidence. We're talking about confidence.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, working out and doing what I do is we build confidence. You know, that's what my job is to take a person and completely break them down and build them up so that they're a confident person that lights up a room.
Yeah.
You know, I teach how to have charisma.
Sure.
You know, this world, you need to have charisma.
Yeah.
As much as you can. It just gives you such a benefit.
Such an advantage.
Yeah,
That's
it does.
true. Now, what's the thing that holds people back the most? Is it fear? Is it worthiness? Or is it just an addictive personality that holds them back from transforming their lifestyle to one, getting fit and then staying fit?
I think it is an addictive lifestyle, but addiction comes from low self-esteem more than anything. I kind of go against what AA teaches and focus less on chemical addictions that you're born with as a disease and focus on what is kind of developed within you emotionally and the crutches that you choose in life to use.
Yeah.
And I like to deal kind of with addiction on that level. And so I think it's people have, I think an enormous amount of Americans, and I don't see this in Europe as much, have low self-esteem.
Why is that, you think?
I think our hyper vigilance with beauty and looks and youth and sexuality in this country, maybe one. Like if you go to Brazil, for instance, I dated a Brazilian for 5.5 years. I know a lot about Brazil. And if you go to Brazil, the women, they don't wear makeup. They walk around during the day wearing makeup.
Natural beauty.
They're natural beauties. And even if they're not natural beauties, not everybody can be beautiful,
Right.
but even if they're not natural beauties, they still have no makeup on.
Why?
And they still walk because they're confident about their sensuality. They know that it's more than just physical beauty in your face, that it's about how you carry yourself. And the women there are confident in all body styles and shapes.
Amazing.
And that's what's different about America is that we have sort of an identity of what is beautiful and what is sensual.
Right.
Because if you're sexy, you don't need to be beautiful. Sexiness so trumps beauty. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know? So we kind of have like these really high ideals of what's sensual and what's beautiful, and we shouldn't.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think are maybe 2 or 3 ways that we can apply something to our daily lives right now to increase our confidence and to increase this self-esteem that we're lacking in general? Is there a couple of things that you teach that we could just do at home or at the gym?
Yeah.
What are those things?
Self-esteem comes from setting a small goal for yourself and achieving at the end of each day. So it's really important to have goals for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and so one small goal can be like, I'm going to drink 3 liters of water today. And now we know that 3 liters of water is a sweet spot and that it speeds up your metabolism by about 33%. That's very significant.
Wow.
In terms of weight loss.
Okay.
So
3 liters of water.
3 liters of water. So now we can say, okay, I'm going to just make sure that when I go to work or wherever I am, I just always have water and I'm going to drink 3 liters a day. At the end of the day, if you achieve that, you build self-esteem because you did something positive for yourself. At the end of the day, if you didn't achieve that, what do you think that does? It breaks down your self-esteem because you couldn't even keep a small goal.
So what happens when we don't keep our goals? When we say, I'm committing to the new year.
When we don't keep our goals, then we tend to go towards crutches, such as social media to get attention, such as technology and things like that, such as food, alcohol, cigarettes, weed. Then that's what happens when we don't have that strong self-esteem from just keeping simple goals.
Wow.
So, for instance, simple goal is I'm going to move my body intensely for 20 minutes a day. I mean, Harvard did a study and said 3 times a week is not enough, that it takes 5 to 6 times a week, which I always knew.
Right.
I train 6 days a week
Yeah.
and have for my entire life.
Yeah.
And I do that because I love what it releases in my brain. And, you know, like you said, clarity. But I also do it so it balances my sleep patterns.
Yes.
You know, because I have problems with sleep.
Yeah, and working out is the best thing to put you to sleep.
And my gosh.
If you don't work out, you're up all night still.
That's right. You're up and your mind is active all night, and you just don't have that, like, again, dopamine, which is the biggest sleep aid that you can have, in melatonin. But, you know.
And how important is sleep for our health? I've talked about
sleep
this a lot
is so
on the podcast,
critical for health.
Yeah.
And there are things that, you know, you can do and can't do. Number one is you have to kick all your pets out of the bed. And I know dog lovers don't like to hear that.
No pets.
No pets in the bed because they mess up your sleep cycles.
Really? What if it's just a cat at the feet?
You're not supposed to sleep with your pets.
Wow.
Yeah.
No pets.
No pets. I know.
That means no phones too, if that's a pet.
And that means no phones.
No electronics,
so my phone stays on vibrate all the way on the other side of my house. So my bedroom is on one side of my home and my living room is on another. And my phone at 10 o'clock at night gets plugged into my computer and it stays over there, and I will not hear it or even acknowledge it in the middle of the night.
But if it's by your head and you have it on silent, you still have that crutch.
So don't use your phone as your alarm. Go old school. Wow. And just get an alarm clock and put your phone away. I know this is not popular because people are so addicted to their phones. And I was actually talking to a friend of mine, and she said that sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning when she can't sleep, she gets on her phone and looks at Instagram. Mm-hmm. That's the worst thing to do.
I've been guilty of that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. See, you do it as well. And a lot of people do it. But if you're really trying to get sound sleep, or if you feel sleep deprived, remember certain hormones are released when you get REM sleep. And one is testosterone, which is a youth hormone, and also HGH, which is a youth hormone. Yeah. So HGH is human growth hormone. And these are released during your REM sleep. If you're not getting that REM sleep, then you're not releasing those good hormones. You're actually releasing one of the fat gaining hormone, and that's cortisol. And you don't want to release cortisol in the middle of the night.
What are some other tips for sleeping besides getting rid of electronics and pets?
Eat fat, like good fats right before bed. So, for instance, every night, like I told you, I'm training for something. Okay, so every night, so I'm hungry.
Good. You're looking fit.
I've never been heavier in my life. It's
really?
crazy.
You look great.
Thank you. I feel good, but what happens is like your face fills out when you gain weight, but you know, so's your ass. And so basically, I've got like my fitness goal and everything, and I'm eating more calories because I'm hungrier. So around 10 o'clock or so, I make myself a piece of salmon.
Okay.
So the good
10 o'clock.
Yeah. So fats in salmon in particular are really, really release the most dopamine in your brain right before bed.
Okay.
So just like a nice source of protein, like even a low-fat cottage cheese, which has casein in it, which is a natural relaxant.
Sure.
You know.
What's the latest we should eat before we sleep?
As long as you're eating the right things, like the two things I just described to you,
like an hour
fine.
Before is fine.
Totally.
Even 30 minutes before.
Totally.
Really? Okay.
It doesn't matter.
But there's different trains of thoughts from all these, health experts.
Fruit is not such a good idea because of high sugar. So fruit has fructose. And depending on what kind of fruit you eat, like a banana is higher in sugar than, say, a citrus,
Okay.
But fruit is not such a great thing right before bed. But if you have a protein source before bed, then you're pretty much fine. If you have a healthy fat source, if you want to half an avocado and eat half an avocado, that would be a really great sleep aid as well.
Okay. I want to transition back into the show a little bit on how you got the show, the first show workout.
Yeah.
And did you have a game plan getting on the show?
If anything has fallen into there's a lot of things in my life that fall into my lap, and it's kind of hilarious. But it's like I rarely go searching for things. Usually they just kind of find me.
Sure.
And if anything in my entire career has fallen into my lap, it was workout.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example of what happened. I had this beautiful world-class gym
Spa
and medical,
Beverly Hills, right?
in Beverly Hills, in the pit house, glass enclosed, and it was also a medical group. So I had doctors and chiropractors and everybody working for me in that medical group.
And top athletes would come and
absolutely
train,
top athletes, top celebrities, like everybody from Paul McCartney to Anne Hathaway, everybody trained there. And so we had like and the best trainers, like the most elite group of trainers. And so one executive producer came and she said, I want to shoot a show in your gym. Will you negotiate the fee? So we used to do shoots up there all the time because it had a beautiful view of the city. So we were talking and she kind of got a glimmer in her eye and she's like, you know what? You've got a pretty bold personality.
Sure.
Can I just shoot some footage on you and let's pitch that to Bravo and see what they say. So she followed me around with a little handy cam. I mean, I did my own makeup. I was just like, I was like living in an apartment.
Right.
Yeah. I was living in a nice apartment, but I was living in an apartment, you know? And I used to take like a motorbike to work. Like it was like 3 blocks away from my apartment.
Sure.
So, but basically, so we shot and it was like, it was fun. Like I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then she sent it, and at that time, Lauren Zalaznick was the head of Bravo. She was the bigwig. And Lauren said, we're not going to pick it up. She called me personally, which I thought was really nice. We're not going to pick it up, but we promise not to pitch it to anybody else for like 2 months.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, okay. But I knew.
I wasn't planning to do a show, so yeah.
No, I wasn't planning on it.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even look for it. And so I was like, sure. So they ended up buying it.
Wow.
Like 2 months later, she gave me the call and she's like, we're picking up the show, and the rest is history.
Wow.
And then they became so intrusive. Then I moved into a home. They shot me in the home. They shot me in the car. They shot me in my therapist's office. They shot me with my Christian mom, who was not really happy about my lesbianism. They shot my girlfriend. Ohio. Yeah. They shot my girlfriend, throwing a glass at my head, and us having temper tantrums all the time. Then let the party begin.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So what did that experience do for your business and your life?
Well, it gave me opportunities to write a book and do some DVDs, but I wouldn't suggest it for life. I don't think it's really.
For your business, what did it do for you?
It gave me more opportunities.
Yeah. Did your business grow?
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Let's say you get a book deal.
Yeah.
And you're on TV and you've got, say, 8 episodes, and you're holding that book up on 2 of those episodes. This is my new book, which is what I did. Okay, you're going to sell about 100,000 more books than you would if you didn't. Okay? So that's what it does for you.
Yeah.
So let's say you got maybe 5,000 hits on your website before, and now you're getting, say, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 100,000 hits. You know, it does that. But this moment the show goes off, all those hits and everything go away. Because,
really?
Yep, people don't remember. They just have a short attention span. They're on to the next thing.
So the show lasted 2 or 3 seasons, right?
3.
3 seasons.
Yeah.
And after it ended, did you have kind of like a hangover?
I had a very bad taste in my mouth. Very, very bad taste. I had such a bad taste in my mouth that I refused to talk about my personal life at all in my next show, Thintervention. And if I had talked about my personal life and if I had shared my perspective in interviews, that show would have gotten picked up. I know that for a fact. I was executive producer. I created it. And all it took is me being more personal and not just being an expert, which is how I pose myself. But I'd been burned from workouts so badly, showing how personal that was, that I refused to do any personal bits on Thintervention.
Wow.
And now I know that I have to have my point of view, my perspective, and be personal a little bit and show a little bit of my life.
Yeah.
But not nearly as much as workout. That was crazy.
That was intense.
So I had a really bad taste in my mouth, and I still don't love doing TV because of it.
Really?
No, I don't enjoy doing TV.
If you could go back and do it over again, would you do it or say no?
That is a really good question. I've never thought of that before in my life. Because I think that I like to be behind the scenes more than I like to be on camera. So I think what I would do is just focus more on my business and expanding my business instead of television. Isn't that crazy?
Interesting.
Everybody wants to be on TV.
Right.
And I am saying right now that it's not all that it's chalked up to be.
Oh, okay. At least not in that format.
Not in that format. Like the show that I'm working on right now, I'm really excited about because I think it could be massively life-changing and nobody's seen it done before.
Okay.
So it's something new that no one's seen done. And that's very exciting for me to be executive producer and to host that type of big show, you know?
Sure. So what happened after the show was over and done 3 seasons and they didn't pick it up again, or you didn't do it for whatever reason? What did you go through personally? Was there a struggle? You know, did people forget about you right away?
No. People did not forget about me right away. I had a really good, strong, 8-10 year run there.
Wow.
Of course,
I hired reruns probably.
Yeah, I hired a publicist, and that publicist kept me constantly, like on magazine covers, in magazines. Up until about a year ago, is that I was the highest contributing fitness expert in the world.
Wow.
I mean, I have done so much content. It's crazy. It's like you would not believe. I won't even list it for
and
you.
The shows and everything.
Just so much press and so much content. I mean, I said yes to everything. So it could be like if you had like a handout or something and said, Jackie Warner, we need a quote. Sure, let's get on the phone and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I said yes to everything.
That's great.
But I don't regret that at all, you know. But yeah, I think, I guess that answered your question.
Do you feel like you...
I mean, I did have a hangover from it.
Yeah.
I had a hangover from it. And I actually left town quite a bit and took this house in Cabo.
Huh.
And I would go by myself. This is how much of a hangover I had.
Wow.
I would go by myself and go for 4 days at a time and just sit quiet on the beach, or like there was an infinity pool there, and like sitting in the pool overlooking the ocean for hours a day, and not have anybody to talk to for like 4 days in a row. And I went to that house like once a month until I got my head right again.
So would you say that was the main thing you did to start turning your life around from that hangover?
Yeah,
or?
I just had to spend quiet time and reflective time and think about what, was important to me,
Sure.
what I wanted to do, and just think about that.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, being from Ohio, I know your DNA, but coming to LA and being here for however long you've been here now,
Years.
surrounded by the industry and TV
Delusion.
and everything, craziness.
Delusion.
What keeps you grounded today after all that you've been through?
I still take clients. So after all these years, I
One-on-one
still
clients.
take one-on-one clients.
Huh.
And that keeps me grounded because now let me tell you what type of client. It can't just be like any old client. It's
Right.
got to be somebody that is really ready to make a life change. So if I'm having a conversation with you and we're sparking up conversation about wellness, exercise, life, and I see that you really, really are ready to make that change and you just need me to hold your hand through it, that's the client I take. And that's a client that is extremely satisfying to me.
Because they're going to work hard for it too.
They're going to work hard. They're going to do everything you tell them to do. They're going to put their trust fully in you. And those clients are the ones that really respond.
Yeah, I like that. So how many clients do you usually have every month? Like just a handful? Or?
Just a handful.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of Skyping as well, which is really difficult. Skyping is difficult.
Watching them train. And
watching them train, and me being out sitting in front of my computer and having them on their computer, and then having a really good sessions working chest, back, shoulders, quads, glute, hamstring, triceps, biceps, and all these muscle groups, and doing that 3 times a week on Skype is intense.
Yeah.
And it's like all about form correction. I'm just constantly correcting form, which can be exhausting. At the end of the Skype session, I feel like I've trained 5 people back to back.
It's that exhausting. Analyzing, looking through the computer, yeah.
You're using your brain and your mouth, and you're not touching, and you're not like physically able to show them anything.
Right.
You're just sitting, It's intense.
There's
try it.
There's no chit-chat.
Everybody out there, try it,
So tell me about this book. This is Why You're Sick and Tired. What are the main reasons why we're sick and tired as a as a country, or the world?
As a country.
In general, the country.
Yeah,
the
as
US.
a country.
What's the main reason why people are sick and tired?
The main reason is our cells are toxic. So our cells are working at about 20% functioning in this country because of our processed foods. So what our FDA allows in our foods is unlike any other country in the world practically.
No one else allows them to have it. Yeah.
So even if you go to third world countries, they have higher standards for food.
Crazy.
Which is crazy when you think about how much the United States is the world leader, and our foods are so corrupt. They're just so corrupt. Yeah. And so basically, there's a whole industries that are conspiring to keep us sick and tired. And these industries have so much power in our political, in the political realm, that they just constantly, it's about making a buck as opposed to making us healthier individuals. So toxic cells. So our cells are working at about 20% as opposed to 100%, and I address that in the first week of this through cellular detox diet. And another one is burnt out adrenals and thyroid. So a lot of women,
from what, lack of sleep or just overstress?
It comes from overstress. Again, cortisol is being spiked all throughout the day and night, and also too much caffeine intake. So the more like monster drinks and drinks like this that are high energy, high octane
Coffee,
drinks,
nonstop.
and also Starbucks, no offense, but I notice a big difference when I just cut my afternoon Starbucks out as opposed to drinking coffee throughout the day.
Yeah.
I do start feeling really worn down after I do that. Like I'm chasing the dragon. Okay, so, I don't know what that even means, but
I like it.
It's something. But, and then the third aspect is, of course, I dedicate an entire chapter to real sleep issues and foods. I give you foods that help you sleep. I give you diets that help you sleep, and just getting the 7 cycles of sleep.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I want to ask you a few questions before I ask you those. Make sure you guys pick up a copy of this book. Check it out for those watching the video. And for those listening, it's called This Is Why You're Sick and Tired and How to Look and Feel Amazing. It's a 3-week detox plan to help you reset metabolism, boost your energy, and drop the pounds. Very excited. And where can they get this? Over on your website,
you
online,
can get it. You can
Barnes
get
and
it.
Noble.
Barnes and Nobles. You can get it most retailers. You can get it, and Amazon is a great place to get it.
Okay, we'll have it all linked up on the show notes as well. What are you most grateful for in your life recently?
I know 100% my mother. My mom and I always had a very difficult relationship, and I would go sometimes 6 months as an adult woman without talking to my own mother.
Wow.
And about 2 years ago, I just literally woke up one day and said, this has to change. I can't have this relationship with my own mother anymore. So this is a relatively new relationship. Once I made the decision to forgive and to move forward, I made that decision, and we are so close now that not only do we constantly visit, she's still in Ohio.
Really nice.
But she's the first person I talk to in the morning over my coffee. We talk for about half an hour. I talk to her throughout the day.
Wow.
I talk to her before I go to bed at night.
Wow.
And so this relationship has become very intense, very important, and she's become my best friend and my therapist.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, for a year, was it years you were only talking to her once or twice a year?
It was years. I mean, there's so many factors. She was only 18 when she had me. And you can't be a good parent at 18. I don't care what anybody says. It's very challenging. And so, there were just so many years of anger and disappointment and all these things that, that a lot of people in families have that go through with their parents.
So what do you think it took from you to finally move past it or forgive? What did you create in yourself to do that?
I went on a journey. I went on a journey where I took all addictive substances and toxins out of my life. So you can't.
Negative addiction.
Negative. So I went through this journey for a year, and I didn't take one drink. That's really interesting. Try it sometime. You will change drastically when you cut alcohol out, because I'm a social drinker. Yeah. But still, it's a need. It really, really
something you're avoiding.
Is something that you're avoiding, or maybe you don't. It helps with anxiety, or perhaps it helps with confidence. Perhaps you have social anxiety, or you're shyer and you'd like to be more. Maybe you can't hit on somebody without it. There's so many factors of why we love to drink around the world, not just Americans, but around the world. Sure. Go to Ireland, and it's like, it's a part of their culture every day after work. Yeah. It's part of their culture. So there's a reason why we like it. And I decided that it was a toxin, because it is. I hate to say it, but it is a toxin. And I decided to remove it from my life for a year, any kind of negative crutch for a year. And in that time, I grew substantially as a human being. Wow. It changed the course of my life, and it also changed my personality drastically, very drastically.
That's powerful.
And in that change, I was able to heal that relationship with my mother. And now, no matter what, we have it, and it's a huge gift to me.
It's amazing. Really. And she comes out and visits, and you go back to a house or no?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I couldn't wait to get rid of her. I could stand her for like 5 days, and then I actually put her on a plane early and to get rid of her when I was younger, like in my 30s or 20s. And now, the last time she came to visit, she was planning to stay for 8 days, right? Well, I extended her trip for 3 weeks.
That's amazing.
So she stayed in my home for 3 weeks.
Amazing.
It was like kid on Christmas morning. Like I couldn't wait to wake up and wake her up.
Oh, that's cool.
And, like pad into her bedroom and wake her up and make her like get up with me and things like that. So it was just like, it's just really lovely.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that. That's awesome.
Sure.
Before I ask the final question, Again, I want to make sure everyone go check out the book and follow you online. We'll have it all linked up. At the end of every episode, I like to acknowledge my guests or something that comes up and opens up for me. So, Jackie, what I'd like to acknowledge about you is I want to acknowledge your realness. Your realness and your ability to say what's on your mind and share what's on your mind without worrying what other people think, who you really are. And I think a lot of people have some misunderstandings about you. And for me to just have this interaction with you really opens me up to seeing who you really are. And I appreciate the value you bring to the world and the dedication you have to serving so many people.
Thank you.
Because it takes, I see it's not just about you. And the more you talk about you don't even want to be on TV, it's about serving a mission that you have, that I can see that. And for me, that's really cool to see how you're bigger than yourself. It's about your mission. It's about serving people that you still want to serve, one-on-one clients. And for me, that's really cool to see that someone with your experience, your success, your level of TV fame, that you're still serving people and working, most importantly, on yourself to be there for your family and
every
your
day.
mom. So,
you got to work on yourself every day. But I do appreciate that.
Yeah, so
I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm very real, and I don't give a damn what people think about me. I think that's pretty clear.
I like it. Final question.
Sure.
Actually, sorry, 2 final questions. The first one is, if this was the last day, and you had 3 things to write down, if your TV show was removed from Bravo,
right,
the books were gone, everything was gone, but you had 3 things to write down about the truths to be true about what you've learned in life, what would those 3 truths be that you'd share?
That's a good question. One truth is really see yourself as an individual, not through other people's eyes. And just like what you were talking about, and what other people, how they see you, but how you really visualize yourself. And to do that, you have to find something that you're good at. Yeah. Like pick up something, a hobby, something that you're good at, something that you practice, something that gives you joy, whether it's writing in a journal or what have you. But don't see yourself through other people's eyes. See yourself through your own clear lenses, based on the things that you've achieved within yourself. Okay. 2, a truth is, I think a truth is, I think we're kind of judgmental, and when you find yourself like judging or looking at people and picking them apart, really try to ask yourself if you would like that judgment based on your appearance or, something about yourself. Yeah. So that's an ultimate truth, is try not to be so judgmental. That's more of a rule. And then 3, what would a truth be? I don't know. That's a good one. Guide me here.
Something about your personal experience, about your love, about relationships, about
Well,
health.
My personal relationships, like in love, are really interesting because my bar is so high now. Like I would not date any of the women that I've dated in the past now. Right. But I think a truth should be, don't ever settle for someone else because you're so afraid of being alone. And I think a lot of people do that. They're uncomfortable with not having codependency and attention and love and caresses and all the things that a relationship brings them. Yeah. So they end up kind of settling or seeing red flags or getting into a relationship that's kind of dysfunctional. And that's not going to make you grow or expand in the way that you should. Yeah. Being alone for a little period of time is extremely life expansive. I
agree. Thanks for those 3 truths.
Sure.
Final question. What's your definition?
It goes on and on. Lewis, my goodness.
What's your definition of greatness?
Oh my God, you're asking hard questions. These are like big questions. I believe I believe the definition of greatness to me is how great and powerful is your energy, your positive energy. And I teach people how to have positive energy just by the way they carry themselves, I can tell you right now that I go to the same restaurants, the same juice bars, the same gyms. I've got, of course, a few memberships now, but I like to rotate. But and everybody says to me more than any other thing, like, your energy is very positive and very strong. And that does not come naturally. Yeah. it's something I work on every day. So no matter what I'm feeling, maybe I'm having a bad day, maybe I'm depressed, I still try to make that human connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I still try to acknowledge every single person that comes in my path, even walking down the street, which might be a little weird, like locking eyes and smiling at everybody that walks down the street. But, so the people have to realize energy can be so impactful, and you can change 1,000 lives in one day just by waking up and deciding that you want to, whether it be the parking attendant, to picking up your dry cleaning and making a connection, asking about how's your daughter, people want that connection. And so I try to work on that every day. So powerful energy.
There you go. Well, thanks so much for coming
Thank
on.
you.
I appreciate it, Jackie.
Thank you very much. It was fun.